I mean, I was eating ice cream. I'm sorry. How we doing? Welcome in, welcome in, welcome in. Howdy. Sorry, I was... Where's ice? Fuck you, where's mine? Sorry, I was eating ice cream. I was like looking at my phone. Hey, how we doing? Oh, fuck. Are we doing well? What's that? Let me just scoff down this ice cream. Hey! Preston, thank you so much. Sorry. I'm just still kind of eating all the stuff. How we doing? Oh, got a hype train. So who's ready for the big ass fucking stream? I have... Also too, we're live over on YouTube. So that's a thing. So, oh fuck. Faceless. Faceless, you son of a gun. Thank you so much. What's up? Let me just get my ice cream in. God damn. What's up? Thank you so much. Faces with the 5 subs. Dude. Oh, you got gifted a sub. Congratulations. Welcome in. Welcome in. What flavor ice cream? It's a Magnum. It's a Magnum ice cream. 1 second. Oh, I'm trying to scoff it down. I was supposed to start the stream an hour and a half ago, but I forgot. I forgot. All right. All right. Let's turn it on. All right. Got to make donuts. What a Pez thing to do. All right. Let me adjust this stuff. All right. Okay. All right. Okay. So I worked really hard today on getting this PowerPoint slide up and running, and we have 44 slides covering the history of Final Fantasy. I would say probably 40 slides of them are actually covering history. The rest are like, what does Final Fantasy mean to me, and all that nonsense. All right, let me. How does it song? All right, dude. So yeah, let's get some love. Faceless, thank you coming in with a 5 gifted, mate. Bloody appreciate it. Thank you so much. I've also got Final Fantasy 7 installed, all good to go. All right. Okay. Hey, Toxic, how are ya? Or not Toxic. Hey, chat, give me some g'days. Give me some g'days. Have a good one, Pez. Got to get ready for the grand opening of my 2nd tattoo shop. Damn, you got a 2nd tattoo shop? Congratulations, everybody. Let's get a round of applause. Congratulations, mate. Congratulations. All right, let me get everything ready. This is the most slapped together one yet. I don't even think I actually... Okay. All right, that actually looks good. Okay. Woo. Okay, fuck me. All right. Okay. I'm just getting on top of it. All right. Who we got? Let me go back up. Zodi, not that lame. You're not that lame. Tresta, Archer, Magic Man. Welcome in, Magic Man. Faceless. Who's got Grundle? Taking everything from. Just relax. Just relax. Just relax. You'll get your stuff back. All right. Tonight's about this. All right. Okay. Damn, he really did take it. I took everything. But don't worry. I didn't get too much time to like move stuff around. But I hope you'll all enjoy your diamonds. Okay. You'll all enjoy your diamonds. Twitch will be Twitch is officially going to the mod-free zone. So everything will just be VIPs, okay? Just VIPs. And then didn't you realize taking us for everything? What is this? A divorce? What is this? A divorce? This is not a divorce. This is just me. We're moving house. We're adjusting shit. We're adjusting shit. That's everything. So. Alrighty. Okay. Guys. Oh, thank you for the level 3 hype train. Okay. I did not do well with adjustments. Well, you got to fucking adjust. Alright. Okay, so front page kicks in soon, I've been told. So we're just kind of chatting for the moment. Let me just move some stuff. Also, too, I think we might. Oh no, we'd be behind. I just found some chocolate. Okay. Let me just switch this. Okay. All right. Okay, everything's done. All right, how are we doing, chat? How are we doing? I'm going to just these nuts. All right. Okay, I think everything's ready. I've got a lot. Just go to my YouTube channel. It's like literally the same channel it's always been. Some people have come in and said hello in there. I feel snacky, but I've already brushed my teeth. On Earth Crystal Final Fantasy. What is the Earth Crystal on Final Fantasy 1 again? Oh, that's the first one. So you're like you've literally just started Final Fantasy 1. That's cool. How good is coffee? Okay. Final Fantasy. Yeah, we're doing Final Fantasy 7. Pretty happy. I hate this perspective and therefore I hate the streamer, so I've come to sue you. Oh, I love it. I love it. Fair enough. That's pretty funny. All right. All right. I love that's the attitude to have. All right, so we are moving to Twitch and with Twitch and TikTok. No, sorry, we're moving to Twitch and YouTube, so I'm moving away from TikTok for this Final Fantasy marathon. But yeah, screaming at a black mage as he's. So here's the thing. Okay, with Final Fantasy 1, all right. Here's what you got to do with Final Fantasy 1. Okay, you need to have. Do you have a whatchamacallit? Oh fuck, what do you call it? Do you have a a monk or a fighter. It's the monk class. Do you have the monk class or fighter? Because Black Mage needs to buff the fighting class or the monk class. So that's how you can literally one tap even the final boss in that game by constantly casting speed or haste, or I can't remember. I think it's like haste, because haste works differently in Final Fantasy 1, where normally it speeds up your ATB, but in Final Fantasy 1, what it does, speeding them up means how many times you attack. So if you were to speed up your fighter, you can punch. If you normally fight, like punch like 2 or 3 times. But if you speed up the fighter, he'll punch 10 or 20 times, meaning you get multiple attacks in. But then you also, then you can stack the speed. So keep speeding the fighter up or the monk up, and remove weapons. Don't have weapons in the monk's hands. Have him use his fists. But yeah, that's the best way. That's the best way to go about it if you want to do that. All right. So okay, let me see if I can get this right. Okay, time to see my face. Hey, how we doing? Good seeing you all. Okay. So tonight we've got a lot to cover. Okay, I have built a PowerPoint slide. I've built a PowerPoint. Let me. Where's my PowerPoint slide? Okay, build my PowerPoint slide. This is it here. Okay, this is the start of a lot. Okay, we got quite a massive overlook. There's quite a fair bit to go over. I won't go on beyond this part, but I'm going to be talking quite a lot. So tonight, I would like, if you have questions, if you have rebuttals, if you have anything like that, please, by all means, jump in and talk about it, all right? I don't want to hear about anything. We're talking about Final Fantasy tonight. Talking about Final Fantasy tonight. And so I'm going to be kind of zoomed in and focused. I'm probably turning alerts off, only because I would probably want to use quite a lot of this content for, I want to use a lot of this content for shorts. But honestly, opening the floor to discussions is ideally what we want here. But yeah, that's the goal. But anywho, hey Sin, how are you? Excited? I worked really hard on this one, and so what we're gonna do, we are going to talk for roughly about, I want to say, an hour or maybe 2, leading into the start of Final Fantasy VII. But we are going to cover over 2,000 years prior to the events of Final Fantasy VII, and we're gonna like just timeline plot all the things that happened. Now, I'm not like Final Fantasy X, where we got into like really in-depth discussions talking about, you know, like mandalas, or like how like the energy that's produced from the far plane and whatnot. I'm not going to be talking about that sort of stuff tonight. Tonight's going to be about like plotting the events, so going over, you know, the ancients, Genova, you know, the Wutai War, Crisis Core, before Crisis, everything leading up to the events there. But it's going to be timeline, so we're going to be talking about, and around this area is when these people were born, and I'll kind of discuss roughly how the world was at that era. So, and one thing you need to do, and I should have made a slide on this, and I'm only realizing it now. But the way you got to come into Final Fantasy VII as it stands now, there's one thing you got to do. You need to follow the timeline from First Soldier, Ever Crisis, Before Crisis, Crisis Core, and when it gets to Crisis Core, that exact moment where Zack dies, that's where the timeline split. Okay, so in the canon timeline, the main timeline that we all know, Zack dies and it branches off into Final Fantasy VII, Advent Children, Dirge of Cerberus. But there is an alternate timeline which Rebirth follows. Well, part of an alternate timeline within Rebirth follows, Zack doesn't die, and then his timeline is created. But then it veers off into multiple kind of like split realities. So while Final Fantasy Original 7 1 does exist, the new one we see is an alternate reality that touches on other alternate realities. So, anywho. Sorry, I did spoil that. If all the Final Fantasies existed on the same planet but different continents, who would win a war between them? Probably Bevelle. Final Fantasy X. I'd like to think that they'd have Vegnagun, right? But then would the power of would the elite Shinra soldiers, you know, like Sephiroth and Genesis and Angeal, do you reckon they could infiltrate Bevelle and take down Vegnagun? I'd like to think so. Honestly, probably Final Fantasy 14. Oh, but then again, you've got like everyone that's in Final Fantasy 16. Wow, that is a tricky one. What's the most powerful army in all of Final Fantasy? I would want to say probably Final Fantasy 14. So I would probably lean more on that. But yeah. But yeah. Anywho, but how long we got? Okay. How long we got? We've got 12 minutes. Okay, we've got 12 minutes. Hello, Maester. How are you? Good seeing you. Welcome in. Yeah. Tidus's laughing would be enough to scare everybody off. Yeah. I love that comment. Oh yeah, okay. I can see he's over on. I can see over on YouTube now. Grundle Zoddy and Gunslinger. Who's Gunslinger? All right. You watch. Brian's not in today. Son of a bitch. Okay. All right. Okay. Yeah. Shit, that scared the fuck out of me. Other than that, how's everybody else been? Oh, that's not even properly. Weird in. I'm probably not. I thought I was like kind of mentally prepared, but I think everything. I had a big day today, and I don't think I prepared. Like I feel like I prepared enough, but I don't know if I'm in the right mental state to give. Because I'm going to talk a lot. It's going to be like I'm probably going to lose quite a lot of followers tonight. I'm going to be talking quite a lot of nonsense tonight. But man, God, trying to I'm here from TikTok vids. Hey, we're here from TikTok. Welcome over. This is my first YouTube, or not first YouTube stream. The first Final Fantasy 7 timeline stream. So these are going to be casual. These are going to be regular ones. So my goal is to have a few catalogs of them, and then I can get a few clips out of them. Plus, my VODs don't. I lose all my VODs, so having them on YouTube's a good thing. But yeah. Hey Ken, how are you, mate? Sorry, I didn't see you there. Chat, give me some g'days again on Twitch. There's quite a few of you on Twitch tonight. Okay. Also, too, we actually did hit our sub goal. Let me update that. We're also 2 subs away from a pack opening. Does anybody want to open a pack? We got 10 minutes to open a pack. We should move that over there. I'm actually typing this in. Oh, you would have loved it, Victoria. My Final Fantasy 10 stream was so good. I would nearly, honestly, like the PowerPoint slides made, I could probably redo it, honestly, because it was such a fun one. Mum said it's my turn with the brain cells. Quit hogging it. What's this? I'm currently I got a lot of Final Fantasy emotes. I like them. I like them. Being sub to me gets you a lot of emotes too. I got a few. My favorite emote. My favorite emote is my flan emote. You know, I made that. Well, I didn't make it. Well, I did. I had to get all the images and animate it myself. I'm very proud. I'm very proud of how that one looks. Oh yeah, the nude dude. He's off Final Fantasy 6. And you got... Oh, it's just you. Yeah, it's just you. Alright. 8 minutes. Now we've got 8 minutes before we get started. You're watching on... No, there's one person on YouTube. Oh yeah, if you wanna... We should link YouTube, shouldn't we? How is the quality looking? Okay. Yeah. If everybody can go and like go watch that stream right there. Go in there and just like go, oh hey guys. Did you get one guide? What's one guide? What does that mean? No spam. I'll spam what I want. No mods can ban me. Okay. All right. 7 minutes. 7 minutes. We get in amongst it. Yeah. What do you mean by did you get one guide? What does that mean? Hey Victoria, welcome over to YouTube. Yeah, a lot of people don't know I actually have. I'm pretty proud of my YouTube channel. If I stream during the day on YouTube, it does really well. This time at night, it does not do well. So yeah. Look at that. Lord Thomas has entered the chat. Okay. I'm gonna try to. The end goal is to only stream on YouTube in like a year's time. If I can get away from Twitch, I'd be so happy. Because if I'm going to be uploading videos, I kind of want to contain everything in there. That's the end goal. Oh, the blurps. I thought I turned them off. All right. I convinced a guy from work to play Final Fantasy. He never played any. Told him Final Fantasy X was probably the best. And then we fell in love and had sex in the back room. That's crazy. I just don't want blurps. I just don't want blurps during this stream. I don't want blurps during this stream. I'm chill here on YouTube for a bit. Hell yeah. Hang out. All right, how long we got? 5 minutes. 5 minutes. Christmas 1999. I got Final Fantasy 7, Tomb Raider 2. That's it. Yeah, no, yeah, the maths checks out there. Yeah, Christmas 1997 is when I got Final Fantasy 7. Yet I played 99% of Final Fantasy 7 the rest of the year. Did the same. For me, it was. I think the best Christmas. 1997 was a good Christmas, but the best Christmas for me was when I think it was the following year when we got WWE SmackDown and Driver 2. Now I know they're not massive games, but I just remember like having my best friend come over and us doing like in WWE SmackDown, you could do a whole series campaign, the whole campaign, story campaign or career in 2-player, and it was fucking awesome. Fucking awesome. Loved it. Absolutely loved it. This song gets a bit too much for me sometimes. I don't like it when Like I like when you get a good trumpet or saxophone, but when someone they do the I can't do it. Cannot do it. Cannot do it. I hate it. Absolutely hate it. Okay. Ooh, not long now. I'll edit this YouTube video down. I likes my own stream. Alright. Don't get fancy. It's like stick to the notes, buddy. It's like when you see like there's that movie about that dude who's a drummer and it's got like old mate who plays Jonah Jameson in Spider-Man. I can't remember his name. But he plays bloody Omni-Man. And he's like teaching people how to be like, he's like a real hard ass about that dude that's the drummer. And at the end of the movie, like the drummer goes off and he just sits there and like goes nuts for like fucking 15 minutes on the drums. Not one whiplash. There's not one part of that end solo that I would sit there and go, this sounds awesome. This sounds very musical and I would like to listen to this song again. It's just sounding to go. Good movie, great movie, but that song it's a bit fucking rough. Oh my god, 5 minutes. If we get two, look, we've got 5 minutes. If we can get 2 more subs, well, we got enough time to open a. Did you complete Alex? No, we will be doing it tomorrow night. We'll be doing it tomorrow night. We've actually got a special stream tonight where I'm doing a boring PowerPoint stream about Final Fantasy VII. So yeah. But we will be back with it. We'll 100% be back with it. I should be getting a notification saying, "Hey, your front page slot's about to kick in." If my front page slot doesn't kick in tonight, I'm gonna be fucking pissed. So it's very hard to get this up. But my PowerPoint, but they said I could. Because my career was around guys like that for 30 years, like directly working and never still understanding what they're zoning in and listening to the drummer go off. It's not entertaining. Best solo was Ron Burgundy, Anchorman, when he screams, Aqualung! Do you know, I used to work at a wetsuit factory, and when that movie came out, I was working at a wetsuit factory, and we had a range called Aqualung, and every time an order of Aqualung would come in, we'd go, Aqualung! Fucking. Or when he's like playing the jazz flute, and he's like underneath the toilet. Like he slides. Oh man, it was so good. I reckon for me the best part of that movie. No, it was Anchorman 2. All right, I don't think Anchorman 2 is a better movie, but it has It has 2 of the funniest moments out of the 2 movies. It's like when he's like doing the warm up and he's like, "They're coming from the back door. Think of the children. Protect the children." I fucking love that. It is the fucking best. And then there's the other one. It's a I think it's a blooper where they're all sitting inside the lighthouse, and he holds his leg up and he goes, "Feel this. What does this feel like?" And they go, "I don't know. What does it feel like? A cock." It was fucking awesome. Oh man. Anyway. It was fucking, oh man. Oh, a scheduled promotion has started. Your stream is being featured on the homepage carousel. Oh, there we go. Okay, apparently I'm on the front page now. Apparently we're on the front page right now. That might take a moment to kick in. Anyway, yeah, so who's ready for some Final Fantasy lore? Okay, so let's get the probably should have our Final Fantasy VII soundtrack playing for this, hey? Much as I like Final Fantasy IX. Okay. Okay, this is cool. All right, so we will get like a handful of extra views. Then they'll all be fake views. They won't be real views. All right, chat. Now, I want to start by saying, okay, and I'm going to get a little cringe, but I worked very hard on this slide. The reason why I wanted to do Final Fantasy VII is because I talk about this constantly again and again and again, how much Final Fantasy VII means to me. It wasn't my first introduction. It wasn't my first introduction into video games. It was probably my second or third. My third love, I would say. So when I first started playing Final Fantasy, it was 1997, and my next door neighbors were these two guys. Their name was Danny and Shane. They were about 4 to 5 years older than me. They were two brothers, and they introduced me to a game called Shining Force 2, which I've spoken about before in the past. I've actually got a tattoo of it right here. It's got the main character for Shining Force 2. And it was a top-down like strategy game where it was kind of like chess, but it was like it had a story behind it. It was a really good story, a really in-depth story, and it kind of opened my worlds from like originally playing Alex Kidd, and then Excite Bike and Sonic and all these other games. I think it was Excite Bike, and then realizing, oh my god, like walking around this open world. And I thought, like, still to this day when I play Shining Force, it's still like every time I turn it on, I still get that little feeling of excitement I did when the year was like 1994, you know. So that game was, you know, that game came out in 1993, so the game was pretty fresh, and so it was like ahead of its time. It was like 40 hours of gameplay, and you could save the game, because you couldn't really save games back then. You can save high scores and shit, but to save a game was huge. Anyway, time went on, and then, you know, was it 1995, I believe, 1995 or 1996 in Australia, the PlayStation 1 came out. And then my parents bought me one, and the first game we got on there was Micro Machines. And then there was another motocross game. It was some sort of motocross game. I can't remember what it was. I know you could make your own tracks and shit. And I loved it, but it just wasn't Shining Force. It just wasn't what I wanted it to be. Okay, it wasn't the game that Shining Force. None of those games could like match up to Shining Force. Then I went to my next door neighbors, and they were sitting there. They were playing Final Fantasy. They were inside the at first, when I first watched it, I thought it was a terrible looking game, because they were inside the Gold Saucer, and I couldn't understand what was going on. I was like, oh, this is like a theme park game where you walk around. Like, why is the guy purple? It didn't make sense to me. And then I remember going home and coming back later, and they were going through Cosmo Canyon. I was like, oh, okay. And I kind of sat, and I was really young, you know. I was an annoying kid, but I didn't sit there and try to talk over him and go, oh, what are you doing there? I would sit there on their bed and just watch them play games. And plus, they had heaps of posters in their room of like naked like Playboy bunnies and stuff like that. So that my attention was kind of like stretched a little thin. But I would sit there and watch them play that, and I got obsessed. I was like, oh my god. And then they were telling me about it, like more about it. And then all of a sudden on TV, this ad comes on, and like it was I should have shown you. It was this amazing. I'll pull it up for you. It was this amazing. Trailer that I will never forget. I actually put it in the slides here. And I want to. Oh wait, it's not actually working. Oh. So this was the trailer.
More than 200 animators and programmers. A multi-million-dollar production. Over 2 years in the making, and a cast of thousands. They said it couldn't be done in a major motion picture. They were right. Final Fantasy VII.
And and one thing that isn't actually on there is they say a line, not coming to a theater near you, and it was the fucking coolest tagline ever. One second, let me. Oh fuck! Whoops. Actually, closed the whole PowerPoint presentation. Yeah, it just like it was just something that I had never seen before, and it was like got me really worked up. I was like, oh, that's the game they're playing, and I got to see all these cutscenes. Obviously, the quality's on YouTube's a little shit because of how old it was. It was from 1997. You know, it's going on 28 years ago, and then I remember I convinced my parents to let me rent the game from Video Easy, and I remember when I first turned it on. The intro was sick. I couldn't get over it, and then all of a sudden, it starts that first fight where Cloud jumps off the train. You fight those two soldiers. You fight those two like guards, and I remember watching like Danny and Shane play it, but I never really paid attention to the fight scenes because there was a lot of like talking going on. I think I probably missed quite a lot of the combat. So when the fight started, I was like bashing the buttons like, why the fuck aren't they attacking? Like, it's like, is the controller not working? Is the game delayed? Then that was my first real experience of like one-on-one combat. Like it didn't kind of occur to me that it was like, Shining Force, you know. I was like, oh, this is no, we don't like each other anymore. No, we don't like each other anymore. Our families had a big falling out. Yeah, and it was just like, I don't know, I remember like playing through it, and I got like, I would get to like, I think I played through it multiple times because I didn't have a memory card back then, and I would get to Sector 7, and then we'd go to Sector 5, and then I'd turn it off and I'd start it again. And I thought like maybe at the end of Sector 5, like the Sector 5 reactor was when Disc 2 started. Because I never fully kind of grasped that. And then I remember then Christmas came around and my parents bought it for me, and it was the best, and I got obsessed with it. But it took me 1 full year to actually beat the game. And I remember, because like I was really young, I wasn't that good at video games at the time, but it took me, and I remember Danny and Shane had to help me in certain parts. I couldn't actually remember where in Sector 5, where to go. Once you make it into the reactor, there's this part where you have to slide down this chute. I didn't know we had to walk to this chute and slide down because there was nothing prompting it, and we only had a very small TV. So it was like, I just full on didn't understand. But yeah, I remember they helped me out. They actually helped me out a bit where they go, oh, we'll get past that part for you. And they got past it, and they got me all the way up to the Shinra building. So for maybe like 7 months, I kept playing through the game, got to the end of the game. I completely missed that section where you go through Walmart and go to the Shinra building. Like even the fall of Sector 7, missed it all. Had no idea. But I remember going back and rediscovering it. Like when I beat the game, going back and rediscovering it and seeing that part again, I was like, holy fuck, it's like a whole new game. It totally makes sense now. But yeah, anywho, let me chip away. Okay. So this is gonna be a pretty big marathon. Okay. We are going to cover quite a lot. So in today's stream, we are literally covering the top point, the world of Gaia. We're going to go from the point of 2,000 years plus before the start of Final Fantasy VII, and we're going to talk about all the way up to the start of Final Fantasy VII. Okay. Turns off my game and focuses on stream while eating candy. Good. By the way, everybody, give me some g'days. And by the way, feel free to jump in and ask questions if you don't like. I actually thoroughly encourage people to do that because this is why I do these streams. I genuinely love doing this sort of stuff. Even if only like one person watched, if I could sit there and just talk about Final Fantasy, this is why I do it. This is why I do it, because I fucking love Final Fantasy. Okay, so this is going to go over a certain timeline, and this is the full history of the timeline. Okay, but this is where I probably should have like made a divergent timeline. I probably will do this for the next stream. So we go prehistory, and there's only one moment in prehistory that we have to talk about, and we'll talk about that in a moment. And then we go to the 2,000 years before. This starts with the ancients, Jenova, like the calamity falling from the sky before they know it as Jenova. Then we move into 500 years before, and there's only one important moment there. There's only one important moment there, which is, as you can see, there's the blade. 500 years before the events of the game, that's when Sephiroth's sword was actually made, the Masamune, and I will talk about like where this information can be found. Then we move into 1877 to 0001. So after, when Midgar is formed and Midgar is up and fully operational after the Wutai War, the world gets reset to 0001. Shinra resets the world's calendar, essentially as a new world order. So when you see down the bottom line, it says like 1995. These are events leading up to the point where Shinra essentially polices the world. That is the defining moment. Then we've got Crisis. Now, what I mean by Crisis, we got Crisis Core, Ever Crisis, and Before Crisis. They actually sit in tandem with the 1877 and 0001. And then we move into Final Fantasy VII, Advent Children, Dirge of Cerberus, and then we diverge back to the other timeline, which starts with the remake. Okay? Okay. This music's a bit weird. Oh, we got Dark Souls music. That's not what I wanted. Okay. Should we do Tifa's theme? We'll do Red 13's theme. Okay. All right. Any questions? Any questions at all before we get started? All right. Fucking set on my nuts. I have a question. How many Final Fantasy related titles are there altogether? So let me go back here. So we got 7 Advent Children, On a Way to a Smile, which is a novel, Crisis Core, and Crisis Core Reunion. 4 Crisis, First Soldier, Ever Crisis, Remake, Rebirth. I didn't have Dirge of Cerberus in here. I just realized it's not in there, so I got to fix that up. So Dirge of Cerberus. Then you have a lot of the novels. Then you got Last Order. Then you have fucking Tactic. You can put Tactics in there in a way. Yeah. All right. Okay, he's ready to get started because I'm going to start showing shit that a lot of you probably didn't know. Okay. All right. So our story begins. Prehistory. Okay. The first ever recorded event, which is mapped by scientists, is something called the seismic event. Before recorded history, and I misspelled that, the area of Cosmo Canyon was shown ancient signs of life stream erosion. So you see that area, Cosmo Canyon, and when you get there, you assume it's like, oh, it's kind of like mostly desert and whatnot. But the reason why no life grows there is because there would have been a large seismic event that pretty much drained a lot of that area of the life stream. Now, it's also in an area of healing, hence the reason why Cosmo Canyon and a lot of people like go to Cosmo Canyon is because it's almost as if life is becoming to be reborn anew because it's been gone for so long. It shows the same signs of erosion where they draw large pockets of Mako. So the event caused by the planet, so it's assumed that the planet caused the event itself. It could have been just, a seismic event that caused the area to go there. But it could have happened millions of years ago in a pre-civilization Now, this is all just speculation stuff I found online, but ideally, the events that cause this area to shape the way is the earliest recorded events ever. That's prehistory. Now we get to the Cetra. So one of the world's first civilizations, this race of people were capable of hearing the voice of the planet. They served the planet as their caretakers. Listening to the planet and the blood of the live stream, which is the memories and life of those who came before them. So if you don't know what the live stream is, so it's not just like this magical energy that flows through it. When someone dies, they go through in Final Fantasy VII terms, they go back into the live stream, okay? But it's not just their soul, it's their memories, it's their actions, it's their presence. Everything they've ever done and ever existed goes back into the live stream. So when they take the live stream and it forms into like a crystallized form, that's actually like essentially memories or souls being crystallized into form, and it's essentially a form of energy where they use that to create magic and whatnot. Then Shinra realizes it's an energy source, and they're the ones that actually produce manufactured materia, like, you know, the sockets and such. They were like, as they said, that they were the world's first civilizations. There were different tribes of the Cetra, but ideally they were all the same. They didn't fight against each other because they all listened to the same planet, and the planet spoke to them and said the same thing. So there was no warring between the Cetra. That's until the Gi tribe came in. Now this is a whole new speculation, a whole new way of thinking, thanks to the Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. Now, Rebirth introduced more lore into the Gi tribe, and it's actually canon now. There's no changing it. It is actual canon now. Where this everything that happened that they talk about that happened pre-Crisis Core actually happened. So the Gi tribe, so they're invaders from another world. They fled their home upon its destruction. How it destroyed, I don't know. I'm assuming it was self-inflicted, but when they arrived to Gaia, the planet refused them. So it's like, try to think of the planet as like your own body. If you have like a splinter, you get an infection, and then your body like fights the infection and pushes it out. That's how the Gi tribe, when they die, their souls are kind of rejected by the planet. Now, because they're trapped on this planet, they were essentially like seeking refuge in the form of like attacking the Cetra. When they realized they were dying, their bodies weren't evaporating, they weren't disappearing, they weren't returning to the planet, they were coming back. Their souls were going back into their bodies, and they're becoming demonic, twisted, and in pain, constantly in pain. You look at them and you see, like, I mean, this guy doesn't even have a dick, you know? Like, he struggle, like they struggle to exist because they're forever in pain. But they've learned to live with the pain, but they were able to use their own form of magic to make the black materia. So this is where the origins of the black materia come. I'm not going to talk a lot about the black materia, but we'll talk a lot of that when we get into Final Fantasy VII. All right. Then we move into the Calamity. While the Gi tribe were fighting the Cetra, and the Cetra were pretty much pushing the Gi tribe back into Cosmo Canyon, they drove them deep, deep, deep underground. But why this happened, the Calamity happened. The Calamity fell from the sky a long, long time ago and destroyed the planet. The impact formed the North Crater, which eventually froze and became surrounded by a glacier. Because the impact was so great, it drew all the energy and all the life from everything living around it. I'm talking like photosynthesis, not like people, to the point where there was no warmth, no energy in the surrounding areas, because it was all getting pinpointed into that one moment, which is ultimately the main driving point. Like, and this event of the planet pushing all that life stream into one area to heal the planet, this ends up becoming one of the main driving factors for Sephiroth. But anyway, the creature, using shape-shifting and mind-reading abilities, deceived the Cetra by appearing as their long-lost loved ones and infecting them with some kind of virus, mutating them into monsters and nearly wiping out the Cetra and human civilization. So Genova isn't this big, powerful, like, physical being. It physically exists, but its power is ultimately a virus to the point where, do you know when you get a really, really bad flu and then, like, to the point where, like, your body's overheating and you start going fucking delirious? Genova does that to people, but then it weakens them and it makes them see what they want and essentially, like, what's the word? You know, in Rick and Morty, how they go to that simulate. Essentially simulates people into like this hive mind. But eventually the Cetra were fighting it, and the Cetra were doing really well, apart from losing nearly everybody. But this is where the planet steps into place. Okay, so the planet sees this happening. It talks like a next door neighbor to the Cetra. And at Knowles Pole, which is now known as Icicle Inn, the Cetra hear the cries of the planet and discover that the aliens impact. As the Cetra flee, also while fighting it, the aliens spread a virus, reducing their numbers. The planet sees this and then creates weapons to fight the threat. But after the Cetra manage to find the alien, the weapons go dormant. So it's not actually stated how long it took the planet to create these weapons. It could have been instant. It could have been fucking 100 years. We don't know. Like, I don't know how long the Cetra were fighting the Calamity. But by the time it was time for them to fight, like for them to come alive and then fight the Calamity, it gets contained, goes dormant, and then the weapons get put into essentially this slumber. Now, keep in mind, when the weapons are created, their whole purpose is they need to kill off foreign invaders. So you need to understand when in Final Fantasy VII, when the the planet then activates the weapons, they see everything going on. Shinra, Avalanche, essentially anything that's not like natural and organic, they see that as a threat. That's why the weapons go on a rampage. And because the planet's also too, it's like, I've got a meteor coming at me, everything's going on here, I'm just summoning the weapon. It's essentially an immune system. That's exactly the way I look at it. Okay, so then we move on to the Forbidden Zone. Okay, so this was kind of touched a lot on in Ever Crisis. So after the Cetra contained the Calamity, a tribe settlers in Igora turned it into the fertile land. When a nameless fiend attacked, so there was this fiend, a very powerful fiend, attacks them. 5 warriors drove it off with fire, but causes a devastating inferno. Only Dachau survives by leading the people south to future Wutai. Igora becomes the Forbidden Zone, sealed in the barrier stones. So this is our first sense here that the people of Wutai, the ancestors of Wutai, were actually Cetra as well. So Dachau, the guy in the middle, was actually a Cetra that existed around the time that fought against the Calamity. And after they essentially contained the Calamity, they moved to a new zone. That area got destroyed and attacked, and then they moved south and formed Wutai. Now you're probably thinking, like, Wutai is near the north of its own continent. It's kind of implied that there was a larger landmass, maybe a land bridge there, but that area is gone and it's supposed to be like sunken into the sea. All right, so now we jump 15. Da Chao and his brother Ka Chao. Now we jump forward 1,500 years. All right, so we move to the Masamune. Okay. A group of outcast settlers in the Forbidden Zone of Igora founded the village of Robio, and this is all in Ever Crisis, by the way. This is all new information that came out with the Sephiroth storyline. There was a mad swordsmith, Masamune. The mad swordsmith Masamune creates a blade of extraordinary beauty. The unnatural allure drives the villagers to turn on one another in a violent struggle to possession. In the end, only Masamune remains sustained for centuries by the unknown power. So normally swords that having the chocobo sound over these villagers killing each other doesn't sound that great, does it? So yeah, so this is interesting because normally it's like information than 2,000 years ago, but then this starts to bridge a little bit of a gap. So yeah, essentially, yeah, you could ultimately see this as like the Eye of Sauron, but this sword was so strong and so powerful that even the dude who made it wasn't actually that strong enough mentally and physically to wield it. So he essentially held on to it forever. Like, he decided to not die and just exist forever until someone come along that's worthy of it. All right, now we move into pre-Final Fantasy. So now this is going to cover a lot of stuff. This is going to cover a lot of stuff as far as like when people are born, so that way you kind of get an idea on, like, you know, how old people are, events that are happening. Okay, so Bugenhagen's born. So he is, as far as the cast goes in Final Fantasy VII, he, I guess, and if you don't think of Dachau, even though he's just a statue in the game, he is in the existing cast the earliest one that's born. And then I would say, what, 70 or 63 years later, President Shinra's born. Then we move over to Palmer, which he was born 3 years later. Then Professor Hojo's born. So, like, I always thought that, like, Palmer was older than the president, but anyway, Palmer's just a fat shit. And then, what was it, 4 years later, Heidegger's born. Yeah. I screwed over there. Okay, so this isn't all just going to be birthdays, but we're gonna kind of move on from there. So in 1950, which is 57 years before the events of Final Fantasy VII, Vincent Valentine is born to Grimoire Valentine. So if you don't know who Grimoire Valentine is, that's Vincent's father, and he was also a researcher. There's also a researcher for Shinra. He was him, Hojo, Gast, and Lucrezia were four of the smartest minds in the world, and he was considered, while Hojo kind of went into more experimental, and he was actually, I don't think Hojo was like one of the first people they went for. It was actually Gast and Hollander. Hojo kind of just became this guy, like, let's just fucking do whatever, so which kind of rose through the ranks. But Grimoire is incredibly like important to the grander story, especially obviously based around like Vincent and Vincent's ability to turn into chaos. He was the one that came up with the theory of Omega and chaos. Then we go to Nanaki, who was born to Seto in Cosmo Canyon. And then we move into 1959. So this is 19 years after President Shinra's born, okay? Shinra discovers Mako energy, and I'll talk about this probably a little bit more in Final Fantasy Remake, but Shinra started this company at a very, very, very young age. But it was more of like a weapons manufacturer, to the point where like they were a small weapons dealer that started like supplying weapons to different armies or factions around the world. And through their discovery of like trying to make new weapons, they discovered large pockets of Mako energy. And this is where Shinra discovers Mako energy, sparking the major advancements in weapon industry and construction. These innovations enable the future creation of Midgar, okay, which we'll talk about in a bit. 1 year later, they realized that they needed to be able to drill and get more Mako, but where they could do it, they needed to do it somewhere that had workers, somewhere where they could be essentially have access to workers but also be left alone. They chose Nibelheim, a mountain town hidden away from everywhere, no real alliance to any major faction or anything like that. It was just a little mountain town doing its own thing. So they choose Nibelheim and the Shinra Manor. And the Shinra Manor actually the Shinra Manor didn't exist. They actually constructed it themselves. I always thought that it always was there and they just bought it. But Shinra actually pays the town for them to be there. So Shinra pays rent to have their manor there and their reactor there, and that money fuels the town. And obviously, the town then uses that money to buy Mako off Shinra, so it's kind of like this endless fucking cycle. Anywho, so that's from 1959 to 1960. How are you enjoying it so far, chat? Give me some g'days. Are you enjoying the lore at the moment? I hope you're enjoying it. Okay, 2 years later, The Gi tribe attacks Cosmo Canyon via the Cave of the Gi, but repelled by Seto. So this is where the Gi tribe were like driven underground for nearly 2,000 years. And then when they finally were able to gather their strength, they were able to then break free of their confines and try to attack Cosmo Canyon. But it didn't fucking work. They actually tried to break free to use the black materia. But this, like, the whole plan was to use the black materia to wipe out the planet, but it was actually the settlers of Cosmo Canyon and Seto that actually stopped them and took the black materia from them, and were able to no, sorry, that's a lie. I'm fucking fully over the place. They actually were leaving Cosmo Canyon. They needed to break through Cosmo Canyon to go to the Temple of the Ancients to get the black materia, because during the war between the Cetra, they were going to use the black materia, but the Cetra defeated them and took the black materia and realized how powerful it was and placed it in the Temple of the Ancients, which becomes that. And as they go to break free, Seto actually repels them. So, no, it's not really like not known, but Seto actually saved the world. Okay, so he's more of a hero than his son gives him. Even though his son eventually gives him credit, he's more of a hero. Anyway, but you're enjoying it. You're enjoying it. I hope you're liking it. All right, 1963. We got Athalnia. So Athalnia is Aerith's birth mother and the last known pure ancient. So by pure ancient meaning she had two ancient parents and so on and so forth. But when she had Aerith to Professor Gus, who was just a dirty mudblood. So making Aerith not pureborn. Then we go to Scarlet, which is the future weapons director. And she looks fine, right? Looks fine. Okay, then we go into September. So then, just to remind you, so 1960 is when they actually chose for the Nibelheim reactor. Then 1968, September 1, the Nibelheim reactor, the first functioning Mako reactor, is complete. It took them 8 years, which makes sense. Bringing that fucking all this shit up here to build the first reactor took them 8 years, and it totally makes sense. But figure out how quick they actually built Midgar. All right, Project Midgar. Okay, so we're gonna cover quite a lot of this. So after the success of Nibelheim, Shinra initiates the Midgar project following the success of the the Nibelheim reactor. The goal is to promote prosperity through energy while expanding corporate control. So the idea is they are still funding every army in the world, but eventually Shinra starts pooling their stronger weapons for themselves. So instead of being an arms dealer, they are the arms. So all of a sudden, they go from being the little kid handing out, they're essentially like the water boy, bringing out waters. Then all of a sudden, they're the giant kind of giving handouts to these little military mites, to the point where Shinra doesn't even need to take them by force. Shinra ultimately removes their suppliers and say, you can fund yourself. And they're like, well, that ain't fair. And then they try to fight back to Shinra, and Shinra fucking stomps them. In Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, when you're walking around the grasslands, we talked about this once when we played the game. You can see there's a bunch of tanks there. You see these two little tanks, one from the Republic, one from a different government branch. And then you see the tank from Shinra. And this tank from Shinra is like 3 times the size. Cannons coming out of its fucking asshole. The other guys had like little fucking handguns. So anyway, Shinra essentially around this time starts dominating the world. The plan includes to separate city levels by a giant plate and contain environmental harm to enforce class division. We'll talk about this quite a lot. So the idea is they knew that drawing Mako out of the earth creates pollution and actually like brings a lot of monsters in the area, because Mako is like a source of energy. And the difference between a monster and just, wildlife is monsters just try to kill people for the sake of killing people. Wildlife are usually there to protect themselves. But this thing drilling Mako actually invites monsters. So that's why they knew they would have had to have lifted the area off the ground. Okay. Where are we at? So that's year 0. So we move on to year 1. The energy activation. Mako Reactor 01 goes online, allowing full-scale construction. So if you don't know, Reactor 0 is the center of Midgar. You actually see in Dirge of Cerberus inside of Mako 0. It's essentially like the heart of it is its own reactor. But the environmental damage begins. Vegetation dies and nearby areas become wastelands. They actually need to start pulling resources from Calm and surrounding areas because they can't grow their own vegetation. In year 3 and 4, Reactor 1 and the city perimeters are connected. So essentially the circle's built, but only one reactor goes online. The ground is cleared for additional reactors and the supporting plate structures. Working housing slums infiltrators begin forming in the city below. So the bottom, like you'll see when you're when you're playing Final Fantasy VII Remake, or even you can kind of see it in Rebirth looking at the city, there is like a wall underneath it that tries to protect the workers, but it was all temporary and they knew that, because the idea was never to really have people underneath until that idea is like, well, where do we put all the workers that, you know, we don't want to keep up there? Like, oh, we'll just fucking shove them underneath. Okay, so then we move into year 5 and 6. Sector 1. How's the music, by the way? It's not too loud, is it? I'll turn it down a bit. Okay, so excuse me. So we got years 5 and 6. So Sector 1 plate and the train system is complete. So you've got the whole sector, then you got one plate, and then the train line starts working. So Sector 1 plate is where the game actually begins, or is where like we do our first bombing reactor. The switchyard transit hubs in like Sector 7 Undercity are established. So the train graveyard, those things are starting to be made too. So while everything's being done, they're building a place to store the trains, and they're like kind of developing the train line as they go. The train line was actually supposed to go around the city, but the idea it goes up and then it goes back down to another section. You can't actually travel from Sector 5 to Sector 7. You got to go Sector 5 to the top and back down. It was a way that they put in place to stop, essentially, it was a way to, if you weren't supposed to go up or you didn't have the permits to go up, you were supposed to stay in your sector. Only those that had the qualifications to go up, or you had to kind of make your way over to another sector. But ideally that was dangerous because monsters kind of loomed. So this is where, and Shinra didn't give a shit. So this is where a lot of people kind of like got stuck where they were. Growth out Sector 5 slums begin. Waste is being stored on the outside of the city. So pretty much, where does all your plumbing go? Well, they just chuck it over the wall. Now, year 7, this is where things start to get really, really bad. So Reactor 8 goes online, which boosts the energy output and migration to the plate. So Sector 8 means everything's good to go. The reactors, so while they build the reactors, they also build they build 2 reactors, then a plate. While they were building, the plate construction actually slowed down, and they actually jumped ahead building the reactors because there was more demand for Mako than there were people living up there. But while Sector 6 plate was being constructed, it actually collapsed. It was like, if you ever played Final Fantasy VII, you'll notice that you can see there's like a missing plate. Not Sector 7, but there's a part of Sector 6 that's collapsed. That actually happened obviously a few, like 30 or so years before the events of the game. But Shinra never actually budgeted for repairs. They never actually planned on repairing anything because they never expected anything to happen. The reason why it collapsed is simply just structure overload. They put all this, like, everything up on top of there, and they never actually expected that much weight, and then essentially just crippled under itself. How it exactly happened, don't know. Like, they don't really go into it, but yeah, if they do go into it, I don't know. June 26, Midgar is officially complete. Shinra headquarters, Shinra HQ relocates to the city center. So Shinra actually was actually near the city of Junon, But like a lot of things, one thing that a lot of people don't know is that Junon wasn't originally part of Shinra. Junon was its own, its own kind of like thing. But when Shinra took over and essentially like stomped Junon down to the ground, because Junon was actually part of the Republic, and Junon got stomped into the ground, and then not only did Shinra, you know, like kind of take over control, they didn't just like let him be. They built a large military like faction on top of them just to show how much of it. Do you like when you go to Junon, you see that little town down the bottom? That's Junon. Up the top, that's Shinra. You know, that's just them being arseholes. So then we got the end of the Midgar project. So the rapid population growth strains housing. Former workers' quarters are repurposed to low-income residents. So those that helped build the city were actually kind of like left back and forgotten. The Shinra doesn't even, you know, care about them. They kind of leave them to defend for themselves. Then this is where you start to see, you know, upper class and lower class. So top side versus undercity, with the slums forming beneath the plate. Then the environmental impact was still minimal. The social equality grows sharply. So like, people are getting sick, quality of life, you know, even just personal hygiene. It's essentially like, imagine like you being in a comfortable car, but then the car's running and then someone has to live underneath the car. That's the quality of living there. All right, so then we move back into pre-Final Fantasy VII. Hey MRX, how are you, mate? So then we move into pre-Final Fantasy VI. So in 1969, nice. We got Glenn Ledbork is born. So if you don't know who Glenn is... Oh, I didn't really layer this PowerPoint slide out. Well, did I? Look at Sid over on his own. Oh, I never actually put Rufus... Okay. There was supposed to be more people in this slide. So you got Barrett. So Glenn Ludbrook is born. Then Barrett and Reeve. And if you don't know who Reeve is the one that controls Keishi. Hey, Unique Ferret, how are you? They were born in 1972. And then 1975, Sid Highwind is born. 1977, Rufus, Sung, and Rude. I always find that interesting. Rufus, Sung, and Rude, literally all the same age. And Azul the Cerulean. And if you don't know who Azul is, he is the large blue beast dude from Dirge of Cerberus. Okay. This is where the name Jenova is first mentioned. Early discovery, discovery and early studies of Jenova. So Professor Gast, who is the biological father of Aerith, is the head of the Shinra is the head of the Shinra Science Division, which moves to Hojo. Discovers a mummified alien in the northern crater. Mistakenly identifies it as a female Cetra and names it as Jenova. Now, it's never really stated what Jenova looked like when Jenova crashed into the planet. It's actually stated that it was a virus and whatnot, but it takes form. Like, it takes the form of something, and this is the form it took when it was trapped. So whatever Cetra it was facing, the way it looks here was important to them.
This stream is brought to you by Viagra.
Thank you.
Can't get it up? Well,
too goddamn bad.
We can help you.
Thank you. I don't know how I can turn these blurbs off. Anyway, thanks, mate. So yeah. So key dates in 1977. So Jenova is officially verified, not actually verified, as a Cetra. So this is one of the big mistakes right here. Then not only was it like 5 months or so, August, September, 3 months later, bloody hell. 3 months later, the Jenova project is approved. So just 3 months later. And then on the same day, Mako Reactor number 1 is authorized for operation. Okay, then we move into still the same year. So President Shinra approves the Soldier Program project, which is using Mako energy to infuse their soldiers, because they understand that this is energy. It's also life. So they understand, like, Shinra knows exactly what the live stream is. and the scientists were able to use this to kind of like in a way to enhance their soldiers. That's why they all have those blue Mako eyes. That's why they form them in there. But they all get sick and get Mako. They essentially get Mako withdrawal, and it starts to like eat at their. I wouldn't say it eats at the body. It eats at them, not the soul. It kind of eats at something else. Anyway, so additional events is Grimwald Valentine and Lucretia Crescent discover the crystallized cave containing Terra Corrupt. So that place physically exists, which is in that where you go inside that waterfall where Lucretia is. While investigating her Fury, Omega, and Chaos, Grimoire is struck by dark energy in the Shinra Manor and dies from his injuries. That energy actually comes from the Proto-Materia, which is very important to Dirge of Cerberus, which we'll talk on about when we do Dirge. All right. This is where shit starts to really ramp up. So in 1977 as well, and a lot was happening around this time. You think about Genova's found. They're found. Sorry, no, the Genova's found. This happens. Chaos, like literally Chaos and Omega's like started, like they find Terra Corrupt, Omega and Chaos. The Soldier Project's found. They find Genova, and within that year, they're born. Now you're like, wait a minute, how can they be born like in September? Literally months after that, there's different ways. Genova, so Genesis and Angeal, they were injected, they inherited Jillian's gene. So Jillian was Angeal's mother, but they actually implanted the cells into Genesis's mother and Jillian. So that way, when they gave birth to their children, they would have the Genova cells in them. But with Sephiroth, they actually implanted Genova cells into Sephiroth. So when Genesis and Angeal start degrading, it's because they were essentially, the way they were created weren't perfect with the Genova cells. The Genova cells were essentially, they didn't form through from mother to child as much as they hoped. It's like they needed to still be attached to their mother to like for those Genova cells to kind of work, but the Genova cells were put directly into Sephiroth as a baby or as a fetus, I believe, essentially making him the perfect monster. And the cells they actually used to make Sephiroth were from failed experiments. So all like kind of like leftover scrap, like of Genova was used to make Sephiroth. All right. Okay, so moving on to 1979 to 1986. Project Zero. Experiments continue with scientists Lucretia Crescent, Hojo, and Hollander, but all tests fail, causing deaths in the test subjects. So they actually didn't realize Sephiroth was a good, I guess, a good experiment. They were still experimenting. Then Reno was born, and then Shinra discovers the. So this part here, the record Archipelago. This is actually part of Ever Crisis. So they discover them and launch the Rodeo or whatever war to control the islands, assaulting and killing nearly every native. Survivors go into hiding. This war goes on for quite a while. To the point where like Sephiroth's like 12 or 13 years old, and he goes into war. Oh, sorry, and Roach and Biggs are born. Interesting fact. So everybody talks about quite a lot how Biggs looks like Charlie Sheen. Well, he was actually created to look like Charlie Sheen in Platoon. And he even says a few lines that Charlie Sheen says in Platoon 2. So that's the reason why. Okay. Pre-Final Fantasy VII. 1984, Zack Fair is born. And then of the same year, Jesse's born. I always find it interesting how big of a gap there is between everybody. Lucretia revives Vincent Valentine. Implants the chaos. So Vincent actually, I kind of missed out something here, but Vincent actually confronts Hojo And in that when he confronts him about what he's doing to Lucrezia, Hojo shoots and essentially kills Vincent. Lucrezia revives Vincent and implants him with a chaos factor into Vincent, restoring him to life. So Vincent died, and the reason why he's like a zombie is because, like a vampire-ass character, is because he actually did die, and he was brought back because of chaos. But it's because of this event that it actually killed his father, and Lucrezia actually feels the full guilt of that. So wrecked with the guilt and viewing his altered form as punishment, Vincent retreats to a coffin in the Shinra Manor, entering a long slumber. Then Lucrezia goes into hiding afterwards, which we know she fucks off to the cave. All right. Aerith, so February, same year, the next year, February 7th, Aerith is born. In 20 days later, 20 days later, this is, Professor Hojo murders Professor Gas. Aerith and Athania are captured and imprisoned in the Shinra building. They are used as test subjects. And then at the same time, this is when the Wutai War begins. These connections aren't actually made. The reason why the war starts is because Shinra was requesting to build a reactor there, and Wutai said no. And then Shinra's like, fuck you, I'm doing it anyway. And then the war kicks off. Rightfully so. All right, then we're in 1987 to 1985 to 1987. So Cisne's born, Rosso the Crimson is born, Cloud is born, Sharuli is born, and then Tifa is born. Tifa's a year younger than Cloud. Okay, in 1988, Glenn Ludbrook saves Matt from a behemoth. Both are rescued by Lucia. This is actually important in Ever Crisis. In 1989, soldier candidates undergo virtual reality combat training. This is when we really start to see Sephiroth start to make a splash on the scene. And Sephiroth is only, at that time, 11 years old. Rosen begins his duty as the Eye of Rador. This is actually kind of focused on the Archipelago storyline. Shrelk is born. She's the girl on the right. And then a year later, on November 20th, is Yuffie's born. Okay, all right. So then we go into pre-Final Fantasy still. Athania escapes. Athania and Aerith escape Shinra. Athania dies in Sector 5 station, and Amalia Gainsborough, which Aerith adopts her name, finds and adopts Aerith. Shinra then focuses on the materia mass production and soldiers' development, the ongoing Wutai War, neglecting the Undercity support. Local residents form like neighborhood watches, essentially because they fear that one, Wutai will attack them, two, Shinra's more focused on the war than they are their own people, and also monsters are coming in, so people start to kind of like police themselves because they have to, right? And then in 1992, Sephiroth and Angeal, and mind you, they are of the age of 15 at this point. Sephiroth and Angeal go on a Wutai mission and encounter the swordsman Masamune and rescue Alyssa, which is the girl on the right. She is a soldier. And it's at this point Sephiroth gets the Masamune. Shinra locates Aerith. Sung offers a deal. Shinra will stay away from Aerith if Aerith reveals the Promised Land location. Amalia agrees to inform Shinra when Aerith knows. So they never tell her. Anywho. This is pretty sad, actually. These two moments were pretty bad. Shinra discovers Aerith. Sung visits Gamebro, agrees to tell Aerith. Okay, we already covered that. This is when Tifa's mother dies. Tifa then climbs Mount Nibel in grief. Cloud follows, but both fall, and Tifa's badly injured. Okay, now this image on the right, just above my head here, is kind of important. But not really. But anyway, so this is a story I didn't know about until about maybe a month ago. So Calm is mistakenly bombed by Shinra. Okay, so what happens here before Crisis, there is one of the leader of the I don't know if it's the leader of the Turks, but there's a member of the Turks called Vedot, and he is essentially his family lives in Calm, okay? He is on a mission and he gives an order over radio to not bomb Calm, because they believe that Avalanche was in there. But because of the radio, there was interference and there was a fuck up with the radio. The people on the other end thought he said bomb Calm, and because he is one of like the higher ranking Turks, what this dude says goes. So Shinra actually destroyed and leveled and killed everybody in Calm, and those that survived, everybody that survived was taken to Hobo's laboratory that were experimented on and eventually killed. Okay, so do you know all those weird things in the laboratory? So when you're in Shinra, or when you're in the Shinra headquarters, and Genova breaks out, and then all of a sudden you've got all those like kind of like weird demon, like that pot dude, the like kind of weird squiggly guys, and they're like the kind of rigid bone dog things that are running around inside the Shinra headquarters. Those are the remainders of those that died in Calm. Now, this is actually lore, this is actually canon, and it was actually supposed to be said in the original Final Fantasy VII, but a lot of this dialogue was actually cut out. It was pretty fucking wild. So Calm is so what they do, they actually give it the Nibelheim treatment, and what Shinra does is they rebuild Calm and then fill Calm with essentially like fake residents. Exactly what they did to Nibelheim. Okay, not long after that, Zack leaves Gongaga for Midgar to join Soldier. Then Legend and Sung, and if you don't know who Legend is a member of the Turks. They attempt to rescue a kidnapped arms dealer. Legend goes rogue and is placed under house arrest. And on May 3rd, Tifa receives her cat Fluffy for her 12th birthday, which is that little white cat right there. Okay. Now this is where, okay, I should have mentioned, so this is where the crisis begins. Okay, so we're in the crisis period now. A lot of events that happened in before Crisis, Crisis Core, and Ever Crisis. So Cloud promises Tifa, so this is the time when Cloud promises Tifa that he'll join Soldier. At that same time, while this is happening, this is at the start. This is where Zack and Angeal are actually at the start of Crisis Core. Excuse me, and they capture the fort, and Genesis eventually deserts, triggering mass soldier defection. Now, in Final Fantasy VII, it kind of shows that like Cloud and Tifa are really young, but this is still Cloud of the same age as you see. Like, even though he looks like a little kid here, I think it's like a year apart from what he was in Crisis Core to what he is there. Benora Village is destroyed from the Shinra air raid to cover up the Genesis project. So if you don't know what Benora Village is, it's Genesis's home village that's at the start of Crisis Core. And then the Wutai War ends. The mission that Zack and Angeal were on was the last mission for the Wutai War. After the Wutai War ended, this is where Avalanche is formed. And they're formed in Cosmo Canyon in opposition of Shinra. Now this is where before Crisis really ramps up. So after the events of that, Genesis and Angeal are declared dead. Zack is promoted to first class soldier. Zack falls from Sector 5 down and meets Aerith for the first time. Then Shinra starts abducting candidates. So what Shinra ends up doing is they kidnap their own soldiers. So soldiers that are excelling within Soldier are getting kidnapped by their own company and getting forced into Deep Ground. And we'll talk about Deep Ground in a bit. Is it the Wutai mission you fight the Red Dragon as Cloud and Sephiroth? No, you fight the that's the Nibelheim mission. Zack defeats, and then not long after that, Zack defeats Angeal in Modeoheim and inherits the Buster Sword. Okay, so then after the event, so this is now we move into, now we're in the 2001. So this is, 2000 is when the Wutai War ended, and a year later, we kicks over. So still distraught, from the destruction of Calm and the loss of his family, Vedot is actually removed from the Turks and is replaced by Heidegger, and Heidegger ends up. So you could say that Heidegger is part of the Turks, but he ends up not only running the Turks, he ends up running the Shinra military. So he not only has the whole military at his back and the Shinra and the soldiers, he also has the most dangerous group, which is the Turks. Tifa then completes her training with Zengen just before turning 15. Lazar and Hollander are presumed dead, and Genesis' army begins targeting Mako reactors. This starts leading us into the events of Final Fantasy VII, the Nibelheim event, a Nibelheim incident. Genesis' campaign escalates and threatening global energy infrastructures. And the thing cut off at the top. Anyway. Then we have the Nibelheim incident. So this is probably, in the events of everything that happened, little things kind of lead up to the way things are. Pez, can I ask you a question? More like a hypothetical question? Yeah, absolutely. Go for it. Sorry if I missed any of your questions. I'm just obviously really focused on this. And also, give me some g'days too. Are you enjoying this? I hope you're liking it. I'm kind of just talking, so... yeah, anyway, ask away. So we got the Nibelheim incident. Nibelheim mandates monster patrols after sightings increase, including humanoid creatures. So there are like people, the main reason why people, this music's not really good. I got it. Okay, I like this one. In part 3, do you think Vice and his brother, I hope so. Because, I mean, Nero and Vice are integrated. I hope that there's going to be an integrated style for Rebirth, which would be really cool. I really hope they're in it, personally. All right, hanging on your ever actually, I actually mean that. Oh, hell yeah. Okay, the Nibelheim mandate monsters patrols after sightings increase, including humanoid creatures. So those creatures that you see that come out of the pod that are like, they start making their way down outside of the reactor, and also monsters start becoming more violent because the first reactor is essentially it's the only reactor that's owned by Nibelheim that isn't part of Urban. It's part of R&D, so research and development. So it's essentially Hojo's own little personal laboratory where he keeps some of their darkest secrets. And that's why when Sephiroth and Cloud go in there, that Sephiroth says, anything you see in here is absolutely classified and you can never talk about it. Even though Sephiroth had never been in there himself, but Sephiroth's a company man at this point. He absolutely knows that. So then Nibelheim starts asking for help, and normally Shinra, as you see, Shinra doesn't give a shit about Midgar, like their own people. So why would they send their most decorated soldier and also another first-class soldier to Nibelheim to deal with, essentially low-level monsters? Is because of the events that happened. But them sending Sephiroth was probably the worst thing they could have done. Tifa joins the investigation. Obviously, they arrive, and then Tifa joins the investigation of the Nibelheim reactor with a Turk, then guides Sephiroth, Zack, and Cloud a few days later. There was actually there was a Turk that actually came along with them, but you don't actually it was in like a novel. Anyway, I probably should have removed that, but yeah, there was a Turk that was actually there, but they weren't supposed to be seen. Sephiroth, and then during the events, obviously Sephiroth discovers the origins, which he goes into a fit. And if you don't know what his origins are, he realizes that he also knew that his mother's name was Lucrezia. In Ever Crisis, he has a photo of her and he shows it to everybody, and they're like, "Oh my god, she's fucking hot." But he did hear that he had a surrogate mother, which name was Genova, which was a lie. But he obviously ends up learning everything, and all the information he reads within the Shinra Manor that was actually gathered by Professor Gast. Now, Professor Gast believed that Genova was a Cetra. They even documented and verified it. And when he found out that he was made from the cells of the Cetra, that was his driving ambition. He believed that he was an ancient and he was a descendant and essentially one of the original people of this planet. he didn't realize he was injected by a fucking alien virus. Hence the reason why he got his power. But he obviously don't know this at this point. So he then gets this ego trip. He goes from being a hero to somebody having a god complex. He understands that he's powerful, he's strong, he's meant to kind of like rule the planet. So why the fuck is he working for people that are stripping the planet apart? So then he goes on his tirade. But we then know that Cloud, Tifa, and Zack all fought against him. Everybody was severely injured, but Cloud was the one that actually got the killing blow. And it's not because Cloud was special. It's not because Cloud had any hidden ability. Essentially, Cloud defeated him by pure willpower, seeing that his hometown and his mother was killed. And he just had that drive, essentially being stabbed, and the adrenaline was enough for him to overpower Sephiroth. But Sephiroth, you could easily say that Sephiroth let his guard down. He was just like in this ego trip thinking he was too strong. Where Sephiroth probably didn't put enough fight into it, or he just essentially stabs Cloud, and Cloud picks up the fucking sword and yeets him. Then Tifa recovers in Sector 8 while Cloud and Zack... Sorry, that's incorrect. I don't know why I have her recovering. Tifa recovers while Cloud and Zack are taken by Hojo for experiments. Sephiroth begins reconstructing his body in the live stream. So what happens? Sephiroth, who has the abilities of Jenova, which obviously make him strong, and Sephiroth is strong-willed, strong mind, strong body. He actually has quite a good healing factor. When he goes into the live stream, he's actually like pulled apart. Like his body is essentially like destroyed by the live stream, but he actually recreates himself, and he like essentially courses through the planet, figuring out, like, learning the knowledge, what's going on, and then still with this god complex, he reforms his body in the Northern Crater. That's where they find him. So while that is Sephiroth, that wasn't his original body. It was destroyed, like essentially broken down and reformed. And that's why you can't see his legs, because his body's like crystallized and still getting built. Yeah, and it's also another reason why when you fight Sephiroth at the end, he doesn't actually have any fucking legs. You know, he's like, even like his big thing, he's like, from his like, I guess his torso down, is like, he has the giant like Bizarro Sephiroth. Then you go to Safer Sephiroth, he's got like those like angelic ligaments. Okay, now we're going to get into something called I call setting the scene. So after the Nibelheim event, all of a sudden everybody that's a big part of Final Fantasy is starting to now move. The pieces are starting to move that's going to start the events of Final Fantasy VII. Okay, so January 3 on the year 3, the Turks destroy Avalanche's Wutai base, and this moment is where Yuffie discovers Materia. So this is where she gets her obsession with Materia. In May 8th, year 3, Coral Reactor explosion destroys Coral Village. Barrett loses his wife and his arm and vows revenge. Okay, so we know, like, there's obviously a lot more to this, and I want to talk more about that as this happens. So this is where you'll get a lot more PowerPoint slides and whatnot as we're playing Final Fantasy VII. So between the years of 4 and 5, the Gongaga Mako reactor is created and then fucking explodes. At the exact same time, Tifa and... Give me one sec. At the same time, Tifa and Marley start working. Marley start work. So by that time, Barrett actually moves, takes Marley, and goes to Midgar. And Tifa and Marley start working at the Seventh Heaven. October 30th, year 6, Nanaki is captured by the Turks during a planet purification ceremony. I actually don't know too much about that. I actually got to do a little bit more research on that. I actually found that out today. Okay, so we get to three big events here. So we got the year 6, December 19. Zack escapes the Shinra Manor with Mako poisoned Cloud. Cissnei lets them go and investigate Shinra's archives. So Cissnei is actually, haven't really talked about her except for her birthday. Cissnei is actually one of the younger member of the Turks, but she's actually quite deadly, and she kind of has this thing for Zack. You kind of like sense it through like Crisis Core, but she encounters them when they get to Gongaga, because like Zack wanted to, as they were leaving Nibelheim, he wanted to go to Gongaga one more time to say goodbye to his parents or just see them one more time. Cissnei knew he would go there, so she waits for him there. But then she ends up having like a moment where she ends up like saying, okay, like go, just go. But she stays there. And we find this out in Final Fantasy VII, in Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, when Cissnei's actually there. That's why you see, Cissnei in Rebirth. Okay, so in now we're getting into the year of Final Fantasy VII. Okay, nearly early 2000, early. I keep saying 2000. Early 7. Barrett forms Avalanche in Sector 7. So Barrett doesn't start Avalanche. He starts his own branch because he's like, you know, like fucking yeah, fuck Midgar, fuck Shinra. Undercity develops its own culture amid shortage. Sephiroth clones call for reunion. So this is where after the events, after seeing Cloud and Zack were the first attempts at the Sephiroth clones by kind of injecting, like they were the first failed experiments, but then Hojo then goes on inside of Shin. I guess it's in a way of looking at it is that Hojo starts his experiments on the Sephiroth clones in Shinra Manor, leaves them in there as kind of like a long-term thing, and eventually they're failed, and he just leaves them in there. But he leaves them there to be monitored. Then he goes back to Midgar and continues the research with, I guess, a lot more series, I guess. Question, Pez. Do you think a pinup girl... Wait, what the fuck? And Swim's outfit will be young Aphania? That, you know, I've heard that theory that the girl on the side of Sid's airship is Aphania. I actually have heard that. Yeah, I don't know if that's true, but I think it's pretty funny if it is. I think it's pretty funny. A Lady Luck by Sid. Yeah, I reckon it'd be fun. I reckon it'd be funny if it was. But yeah, hey everybody, give me some g'days again. Sorry, when chat's not moving, I'm worried that I'm just talking and no one's listening. Anyway, okay, so okay, so September 0007. Zack and Cloud make their way back to Midgar, and at this moment, Zack is killed, and Cloud inherits the Zack's Buster Sword, while suffering severe Mako poisoning. So during the experiments, the reason why Cloud suffers amnesia and thinks he's Zack is because the experiments and the use of Mako and the live stream, essentially like using something like the live stream and Mako between two people, the same source of it, because the idea is like in these tanks they were channeling the same level of Mako to each other, like the same like the same source of Mako to one another, which is their memories were actually getting fucking melded. So there was a very real possibility if Zack kept on living, which kind of breaks apart in Rebirth, that Zack might have kind of had some of his memories merged from Cloud into him too. But through this traumatic event and everything that's happening, that's why Cloud starts thinking and believing that he's Zack. Now, a lot of people don't know this, and this is actually an important thing. On October and November 0007, the Turks battle Zirconade? The Summon. This is actually... So what this was... one of the leaders of Avalanche, the original group of Avalanche, actually had a summon inside of her, and this summon was so strong that it would have destroyed the world. It was actually, that's the whole kind of like the pinnacle fight inside of Before Crisis. And as this is happening, Cloud reunites with Tifa in Sector 7. And so we are at the events of Final Fantasy VII. That is everything. In a brief recap, leading up to the events of Final Fantasy VII. So let's talk about Final Fantasy VII. All right, so Final Fantasy VII in 1999 to this day. Okay, not include when I say remake on here, I'm not talking about remake and rebirth. I'm talking about multiple releases and like HD remasters or whatever. Has sold 13 million units worldwide. It's fucking wild, right? Hello, glad to see you live. Hey, mate, how are ya? We've watched this trailer. Now, so this is where the game begins, all right? So I want to talk about Mako. The Mako City Midgar. So now I'm going to be doing a lot of this as we go through this game. And as we get in, we're not going to do too much other than this tonight because there's a lot of, we'll talk about like the upper plate and other stuff. But as we go through Final Fantasy VII, Advent Children, Remake, Rebirth, Crisis Core, I'll be making slides like this that we'll pop in and out of and talk about as we're going through the game. So Midgar. Mako City Midgar. Industrial megacity built by Shinra in 1976. Midgar is suspended 300 meters above the ground, powered by 8 Mako reactors and a central pillar. But the central pillar is also a reactor, which is Reactor 0. Sector layout. So it's divided into 8 sectors, very similar to a pizza. Each area is linked via a Mako reactor and serves a specific city function. After 5 and 1 go down, reactors are able to back up and co-supply other parts of the city. So when one reactor goes down, it's not the end of that sector. Class divide. So we talked about this later, but when the upper plate was created, that all of a sudden pretty much those that work inside of the Shinra building live outside. They work there, but there's a lot more jobs going inside the Shinra building than there are houses up the top. And you got to imagine too, houses just don't get built because what we've learned on Sector 6 is that the plate fucking falls, so they can't keep building on there. There is a weight limit, so capacity would eventually reach. So that's why some people have to live underground. That's why you see that really proud manager from Shinra who's like, Shinra we are upholding the standard and we're a top class citizens, and everyone claps at him. And Barrett's like, I'm gonna fucking shoot you. He lives underground, but he still. I hope you liked it. That's everything I've got. Leading up, this took me quite a while to work on. Oh wait, did the stream just go down? Oh no. Oh, what? Oh, I dropped out. Okay, we're good? Okay, we're back. Oh, that sucks. Anywho, that is the full lore of Final Fantasy leading up to the events of Final Fantasy. I hope he's enjoyed it. Let me so that it took me a long time and a lot of research, and to be honest, a lot of years working on that. So like I'm not on that slide, but I guess a lot of years of learning all this sort of stuff. Now 12 hours of gameplay. What's his YouTube? My YouTube is Pez_Tails. So yeah. Oh, there's 12 people watching. Go me. Yeah. Then I guess we kind of move into gameplay now. But yeah, I guess, does anybody have any questions? Anything you want to talk about in talk about a Final Fantasy? Like any questions there? Anything like anything that doesn't make sense? Because like a lot of it, I know I didn't go into like full depth detail on a lot of finer details, and there are stuff in the lore that I did skip over because I felt like it was a little bit redundant. But I did try to cover. I realized I missed out on Wedge's birthday. Wedge is actually one of the youngest members of Avalanche. I think he's born after Biggs. Can you just run the whole thing by me again? Well, actually, I'll have that PowerPoint available for everybody to see. So, yeah. But as we move into this game, we will be definitely we'll definitely be playing a lot more on stuff like this stream. That's everything I got PowerPoint wise. But we'll move into the game right now. And as we move into like Walmart Sector 5, the Shinra building, I'll talk about little things here, certain floors as we go out into the Calm. I'll talk more on the bombing of Calm, because a lot of people don't know how fucked Calm got from the bombing. One sec, I just lost my my YouTube chat. But yeah, but I'd happily do this streaming. And how we got? Is my front page numbers kicked in yet? I haven't actually checked. Oh, apparently I have 555 people watching. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Cool. Let's get into it. I really don't think there's 555 people watching. I'm trying to work at the same time, so you may have covered it, but why does Tifa tell Cloud that he wasn't in first class? Well, she didn't know Cloud wasn't. So in the Nibelheim flashback, Cloud wasn't like during the. Oh, you mean like why he's telling it? Tifa, because Tifa's unsure, and she also understands that Cloud's got a fractured memory, but Tifa was also like nearly mortally wounded. So she even questions herself. That's why she has a lot of doubt. But then as the game goes on, she realizes that like, no, you weren't there. So Tifa's more scared about telling him. All right. But anyway, look, as I say all the time, that took me quite a while. So if anybody, I've got, my hat's out. Any subs for all the cool little performance I did? No? Okay. Okay. Let's get into it. Thank you, Leanne. Thank you, Zoddy. Okay. Let's get into gameplay. Alright. Okay. The game I said I would never play again for at least 10 years, and I'm getting back into it.
Oh.
Oi.
Such a tease.
Thank you, Zoddy, for gifting a subby poo.
Oh. Such a tease.
Thank you, buddy, with the 2 gifted.
Oh. Such a tease.
Where is my sub counter? That's not it. Where's the... Oh, there they are. Thank you. We'll open some packs at the end of the stream. We definitely just got there. All right, let me get the music going. All right. So we're also doing the Echo S version too, by the way. So there will be voice acting. Actually, welcome to Echo S project. All right. So if you don't know what Echo S is, this is the voice acted version. So I haven't actually run this mod, so I don't know if I got all the mods right. Hey Size, how are you, mate? Size, you just missed my massive PowerPoint presentation. God, man, this takes me back. Oh damn, this looks... I never even realized I had this mod. This has got the Nino style FMV. You don't like that? What a great introduction, right? Oh, it's got the different music too. Gets you every time. You get down here, Merc. Oh, widescreen. Oos.
Get down here, Merc. You're up.
There's our boy. Wait, am I not? There we go. Okay. Normally I let people sub for this, but I like the color. I like doing a little bit of green there. Green just looks cool. There you go. Quit. What I just like the green. The green, I just really like the green. Ooh. God, it looks good, doesn't it? So if you're wondering why it looks different, we modded the hell out of it. Oh, it's got a different. I might change the music over next stream.
Unbelievable. You soldier guys sure are something. Hard to believe we got a guy like you in a group like Avalanche.
So, what's Soldier Boy's deal? Is he one of us now? Thought they were the enemy.
He isn't soldier anymore, Jesse. Besides, he's a professional, unlike the rest of us. What was your name again?
Cloud Strife.
Cloud Strife, eh?
Not
Come
interested.
fuck.
Once this job's over, I'm out of here.
What did I just say? Told you to never move as a group. Our target's Mako Reactor 1. We'll rendezvous at the bridge in front of it. You better be worth the money, Merc. Every last gil.
Run by holding cancel while
I like how they get like the Jeeves. Man, this scene, I remember that scene as a kid, like looking up at the reactor like, oh my god, this is sick. It really is such a cool intro to a video game. Like, you start off as a terrorist. Oh shit, okay, that health thing doesn't look good. Okay, we gotta fuck around with that. Is that health like that before? Yeah, the tutorial speaks. Might be a one-off thing. So there we go. Where's Cloud? Oh, there he is. That's on red health. Okay. I might need to fix that up. Environmental terrorist. Exactly. Been on Twitch a while, but thank you. Prompt is awesome. Do you remember seeing one before? I'm not sure what you mean. Sorry. Oh, when you get gifted a sub, yeah, that's a thing.
So, Soldier Boy, this your first time in a reactor?
Boy.
Did you forget? I did work for Shinra, remember?
Oh, I remember. I know full well that you've been Shinra's lapdog. Bet you guys just eat up everything they tell you, huh? Like what Mako is. Well, let me tell you what they won't. Mako's not just some energy source. It's the lifeblood of the planet. And Shinra's using all this crap to suck it dry.
You're not
Suck it
paying me
up.
to listen, so save it.
You right. Looks like we gotta keep Lapdog on a tight leash.
Well, this game's like complete muscle memory to me now. Once we get to the next save point, I'll muck around with the mod, so that way we can actually see our health.
Push that.
I might actually have the Jessie mod where she might join the party here. So there is a part where there's a mod where Jessie will join the
This reactor's
party
sole
just for this next
purpose is
fight.
to drain the hell you think's gonna happen when it's all gone, huh? Can you really live with that?
I can and I will.
Love his confidence.
I'd worry less about the planet and more about what's waiting for us down there.
How long did that talk go for? I kind of did it. Oh shit, I went back up. Kind of went for about like an hour and a half, you reckon? I feel like I did it quicker than I expected. Not even Barrett's in red. We're going that crazy no health combat. I really wish Jessie joined the game. Even if she does die off, but like having a member die off before Aerith dies off would kind of like devalue Aerith's death, I guess.
Press.
You thought Jessie was a dude? Yeah, right. Well, what's your first language? Because oh yeah, Jessie on Full House. No, that's just never thought of it that way. Yeah, there you go. A lot of people thought Kuja was a woman as well. I remember the Kuja argument. Man's like, oh man, Kuja, she's hot as fuck. Yeah, that's a dude, right? Like, no, don't say that. Okay, let me save the game. I feel like that first fight. Oh, we got our old save files here. Oh my god, there's a lot of save files. I guess we'll just save file 10 for this one. Let me reset. if I can fix it. All right. So I think it was the interface. User interface. Okay, that should work. I think what happened there, I had I was mucking around with like an experimental one. Yeah. I don't think you've seen this version. I normally watch speedrun. Yeah, no, this one's yeah. I think speedrunners don't count these ones because obviously the mods can.
Place, there ain't gonna be nothing left but a pile of rubble.
I guess not seen as cheating, but you
Shouldn't
can.
you do this?
It's
I'll
just
watch
like
the rear.
unpure.
As far as I'm
I guess you could
concerned,
say.
you're the one that needs watching. So go on, do the honors.
Fine.
Wake up. This isn't just a reactor.
This is just a reaction.
I said, what is it?
Need to go.
Something
See you, mate.
wrong?
See you, MRX. Everybody that's over on
I'm fine.
YouTube, how you going? Welcome into my first Final Fantasy marathon stream.
What in the hell? You better not have double-crossed us.
Son of a bitch. Woo. Damn, how good does a guard scorpion look? Oh, the thing's still not working. Might have to change the interface entirely. Da-da-da-da. I don't know why it's doing that. So from memory, this it's got 760 HP, I think. The time you doxed yourself, I do remember that. Yeah, like he's not grateful enough myself. I'm grateful. I appreciate what you've done. Now, oh no, good. You might actually get to kill him before this thing actually puts his tail up. No, I'll put his tail up now.
Barret, be careful! Don't attack when its tail is up. It will counterattack with its laser.
Like no disrespect to the dude that voiced Cloud. It's just I feel like he's the one voice that I just can't connect with. I'm gonna fire my laser. Not fully awake. Oh, good mate.
Let's just get this over with.
Yeah, it's like he's trying to sound like Cloud instead of like sounding like Cloud.
Come on, we got.
5 minutes to detonation.
God damn it. I want to fix this. I want to fix this bloody HP bar. Alright, maybe it's just you entirely. Fuck. Okay, hopefully that works. Battle models, battle textures. The only thing it can be. Well, hopefully that works. Oh. Oh. Really happy how that PowerPoint presentation went. I thought I'd like butcher a lot of it. What sucks is that all that work was done, like, you know, multiple hours of work done in and it was all used for just 1 hour, you know. I know there's a lot of things that you can like reference that to, but it's like, I know, I wish I kind of went for like a few more hours. Okay. Hopefully that works. If it doesn't work, I'll have to reinstall it. Ba-da-da-dum. I think the first time I played this, the reactor blew up because I couldn't figure out what to do. I didn't realize we had to come back and get Jesse. There we go, that fixed it. There you are. Yeah, the music does seem like a little bit off, doesn't it? Yeah. I kind of get used to it after a while, to be honest.
You all right?
My legs.
No missing no. Yeah, no missing no. Yeah, I'm a bit of a programmer. I'm a hacker. I'm a hacker. I know no hacking skills. I got nunchuck skills and computer hacking. What is that off? I got skills. I got nunchuck skills and computer hacking skills. But that's off a movie. What movie is that off? Nunchuck skills, computer hacking skills. Is that off? Elite hero. Exactly. Oh, hacker. Oh, no, elite hacker. I thought it was elite hero. Going in 60. No, it's not that. It's like a...
Let's go!
Let's go! It's something else. Yeah, hack. Yeah, I'm a failed hacker now. Damn it. No. I refuse to say that word because I can't pronounce it correctly. I think I did. I think I only got a few tongue twists during that during that PowerPoint presentation. it's got that nighttime filter. Oos. Oh, Kate wanted to be here for this too.
Can't wait to see Marlene.
How you feeling, Lee? I don't know if Leanne's still here, but how you feeling? You feeling better? Oh, they did so good with the flames in this. Oh, Leanne went to bed? Ah, okay.
All right, let's get our asses home. We'll rendezvous on the train. Split up and make your way to Sector 8 station.
Hey, wait!
If it's about your money, you can have it. Once we're back at base.
Yeah. Alright. It's cool that these are fixed up a bit too. You can see like Loveless a lot more clearer. So
Excuse me.
dark.
Has something happened?
Don't worry, it's dangerous. You should leave. Don't worry about it. It's dangerous. Don't.
Oh, these? You like them? They're only a gil each.
Sure, why not?
Here, this is for you.
Just like a good business relationship, we exchange product for service and product for coin, and then we go our separate ways. Like every good relationship.
Hey, you!
What? Shinra Military Police.
You don't need to do these fights, and it's not like you really need the XP, but sometimes it's good just to get the XP. You think about it, like, nearly every fight you do in Midgar, one fight in the Northern Crater adds up to more XP you get in here than you do. Like, you get one fight in the Northern Crater adds up to more XP you get inside Midgar. Isn't that wild? None of them were swears. Yeah, it was pretty good to do that on front page. It's just a shame that a lot of those views are like just inflated numbers. There he is. Poke him out. That's how leveling works. I get that. I get that. But it's just like, you know, you're like, oh, I'll keep getting in fights down here to level up. But when you realize it doesn't matter. You can literally make it up later on. Because in my opinion,
Over here!
this is the easiest Final Fantasy. Like Final Fantasy 7 is pretty easy.
Sorry.
It's like they even made it easy because, you know, like a lot of Western RPGs are made a lot easier because they don't want to like make it hard, and they didn't want to make it hard and scare off Western audiences to like Japanese RPGs. And
No need to.
Guys from
7 was definitely made easy. Sure, we don't get any weapons yet.
Be good to have.
That guy? The hell would I know? I ain't
We're
no
gonna-
mind reader. 'cause he
One can only
schools that
enjoy
I
the
had to hire
effort someone
that
made to put
jackass in the
together
first
a
place.
project to add
Oh
voices.
yeah, Barrett.
So
About
good,
our
eh?
pay. I mean, boy, I'm so glad we helped the planet.
Ta-da.
Cloud!
Late for our appointment?
Hey, you damn right you late. Come waltzing in here, making a big scene.
It's giving public security the runaround.
Getting everyone worried is more like it. You don't care about no one but yourself.
Oh? You were worried about me.
What? Oh, hell no. That's coming out of your share, hotshot. Yo, people, come on. Let's move up.
Hey, Cloud. Thanks.
Cloud, let's keep this up for the next mission.
Careful. I'll shut this. Oh, Cloud! Your face! It's pitch black. There you go. Good as new. Hey, thanks for saving me back there at the reactor.
Departing from Sector 8, the last stop is Sector 7, train graveyard. Expected time of arrival is 2300, mid-go time.
I think this music with the setting is it's done so well. Like I find I wouldn't say romantic.
This is why I hate the last train. Oh boy.
Like how do like just the mood setting this song that like this like track does with like what we just went through, where we're going, and it's just like they live in a shitty world, they've done a shitty thing.
Looks like the train still hasn't switched over to the emergency security system. It'll be a different story tomorrow.
You not a damn kid. Sit down.
I'm gonna be famous thanks to Avalanche.
Well, I'm gonna be famous.
The only people who come to my home are you guys.
You see the headline in the Shinra Times? Apparently, the terrorists that bombed Reactor 1 are hiding out somewhere in the slums. Imagine, bombing a reactor. They must have a really calculating leader. I wonder where they'll strike next.
What really? Silly question for anyone who knows. Did they keep any of the glitches or properties in this version? Yeah, all of it's here. Literally, all the glitches and shit are here. This is just visually changed.
Please, you'll bother the other passengers.
Hey, Cloud. Want to look at this with me? It's a display of the train route. Personally, I find the visual aids make the dull stuff a lot more bearable. Just so you know, I'm into this kind of thing. Bombs, monitors. I'm a high-tech kind of girl. Okay, it's about to start.
Oh, I wonder how this looks. Oh, it still looks shit.
So here we've got a wireframe model of the great city of Midgar. It's around 1 to 10,000 scale, complete with massive steel plates suspended 300 meters above ground level. A huge pillar supports the plate in the center, and there are smaller ones for each sector. The smaller pillars are known as mechanical towers. Psst! We destroyed Reactor 1 on the northern edge. They're numbered in order. 2, 3, up to Reactor 8, which all sustain the whole system and provide electricity to Midgar. Each sector had a name once, but no one remembers them. Today we just use numbers. That's the kind of place this is. Phew! Next we have this. Take a look. This is the route our train.
I actually couldn't find the names of the sectors. They were always just numbered sectors.
Right now we're about halfway. Each transit point has an ID check area. It scans information from all of the passengers,
weird,
then cross-checks
like,
the
I
data
heard
with
to say
the
that
host
in the main
computer at the
game,
Shinra building.
and they do that.
We definitely look suspicious.
It must have been like names that existed amongst the people.
Speak of the devil. Those red flashes mean we're passing through the ID checkpoint. Psst. Because the lights go out, these trains are full of pervs who can't keep their hands to themselves. Well, enough about that. We're almost home now. What a relief.
Take a good look. You can see the surface. But this city looks up at an empty plate. Nothing but a metal sky and ground that don't grow anything.
A city that floats in the sky. Pretty unsettling scenery.
Oh, never expect to hear that out of you. You're just full of surprises. The world above, a city on a plate. It's because of that great pizza in the sky that people down here gotta struggle to survive. Mako pollution rains down on them. The air is filthy cause it ain't got nowhere to go. And nothing's being done to clean it anymore either. On top of that, the Mako reactors keep pumping out energy. Thanks to them, the land's gone completely barren.
Then why doesn't everyone just move up above?
I don't know. Probably can't afford to. Or maybe, because they don't want to live on a plate. They prefer the land under their feet, no matter how poisoned it is.
Yeah, I understand. No one lives in the slums because they enjoy it there. They're like this train. It can only run where the tracks have been laid.
That's pretty deep. Dad knows his trains. Cloud with his fucking train knowledge. I have in good authority that the two people walking on the left there are gonna have sex. So I think they commit suicide. They do something weird. Oh, banana.
Hey, over here, all of you. That mission was a success, but don't get careless.
Speaking
of big ones still to come. No getting cold feet. Cause the next one's really gonna wake them up. Meet back at the hideout. Move out.
Is it? Oh, my front page is done. Done and done. Yeah, that's good because I was planning on ending at 11:30. Cool. That was fun. So yeah. Alright. Okay, where are we at? Cool. Yeah, I'll have tomorrow when I'll probably have more on the next slide I'm gonna go over is probably the slums, because I was actually gonna make a slum slide, which slum slide. Who wants to go down the slum slide? I was gonna make one kind of covering everything about underneath there, then the wall market, the church, the Don, Honeybee Inn, so a few things like that. So guys, a few cool things that I want to cover on. But that's everything for tonight. Yeah, thanks for hanging out, everybody. It was a fun little stream. And yeah, it definitely took me more than I expected it to, but let's find someone to raid. Who can we raid today? Who can we raid today? Probably raid. Let's see. Alright. Oh, that's not how you spell it. Oh, I put it in the bloody wrong one. Haha. Alright, there we go. Raid. Boom. There we go. All right. Well, thanks for hanging out tonight, everybody. Appreciate everybody hanging out. I will be back on Thursday with more Final Fantasy. We'll probably continue our Final Fantasy. We'll continue our Final Fantasy 9 speed run, and then we'll call it there. Until then, chat. Love you all. Appreciate you all, and then I'll see you all later. Bye.